other thing I like is the way you have some of these sites where when they like to defend something, they just try and make it. So this is the first time I've gone on this site. It says 5 myths about John Calvin. So let's see. Whenever you find a website like this, the person's either going to support Calvin or they're going to be against him. And it shouldn't be hard to work out which one this is. Calvin had Michael Servetus executed. But that's a myth, eh? Okay. But you see, this guy is clever though. He says, "Now I do not wish to whitewash Calvin." Yes, you are. You did a very good job. Whereas notice we're reading the other one where the guy was going into detail. So Calvin knew Servetus. We know that from what the other guy was saying. But notice where it says that Calvin pled with the authorities not to burn Servetus, but they... Okay. Notice how he's missed out the part about Calvin saying he wanted him killed with the sword. So notice that's missing here. But yes, you are trying to whitewash Calvin. They did it. So remember, we read it. So where was it? Let's see if I can find it. I'm just checking this one out. So here we go. So Calvin, writing to his friend, said, "The agreed Servetus deserved death, yet hope for leniency. I hope that the sentence of death will at least be passed upon him." No, that's nice. It says, Calvin then intervened and asked that Servetus not be burned, but rather be more... Well, let's forget the humanity part. So it's Calvin then intervened and asked that Servetus not be burned, but rather executed by the sword. Remember, agreed Servetus deserved death. So let's go to this whitewash guy. Eh? Now, I do not wish to whitewash Calvin. Yes, you do. So notice it says here, Calvin pled with the authorities not to burn Servetus. Really? I didn't read that. But they wanted actually to demonstrate the independence of Calvin, opted for burning the Anabaptists. So you see, as you can read here, yeah, and this is what you got to be careful of, these Calvin defenders. What they will do is they will just not tell you everything. Hoped for leniency. Alright, yeah, so this is the good part. You agree that Servetus deserved death, but yet hoped for leniency. What does that mean? Alright, it says, deserved death, but yet hope for leniency. This one says, sorry, I was on the wrong one. So, it says, but I desire, I hope that sin will leave you past upon you, but I desire that so it says, Calvin then intervened and asked that Servetus not be burned, but rather be executed by the sword. That's what this guy says. And then the myth guy who wants to whitewash Calvin says that Calvin pled with the authorities not to burn Servetus. So it says he pled with the authorities not to burn Servetus. This one says, but I desire that the severity of the punishment might be mitigating. So Calvin then intervened and asked, so it says asked here, notice. It says here asked, the other one says pled. Well, I don't know. I don't see any pleading here. Calvin said he deserved death. This guy, yes, see what he does is, notice that this guy is very clever. Calvin was called as a witness for the prosecution. Calvin pled with the authorities not to burn Servetus. So notice, this guy is very clever. He's skipping the part where it says that Calvin wanted him dead. So, it's not that I do not wish to whitewash Calvin. In his own day, the reformer rightly remonstrated with Calvin for executing Servetus. The state, yes, so this guy is clever. All he put in here is it says Calvin pled with the authorities not to burn Servetus. So he skipped the part where Calvin said he wanted him dead. So this guy, so actually, he's saying myth number one. So, well, I'm sorry. So myth number one is a scam, essentially. This is not true. So this guy is just trying to whitewash Calvin. And as you can see, he's failed. So the tyrant Calvin ran a gulag operation during the main period of his ministry. Well, yeah, that's a myth, because we read in the other one that he's not running the gulag, it's the actual authorities. Calvin's theology can be summed up by the acronym Yeah, maybe it can. I don't know. Calvin's I don't know what that means. Calvin was not interested in missions. Well, that's interesting because that's what Calvinists tend to be like. They don't like going out, like even James White. As you can see, James White, he just likes to go and preach or go to a college or something. He doesn't seem, when you look at James White, he doesn't seem to be interested in actually going on the street and defending his belief. And that's what Calvinists tend, I've noticed they seem to be like that. They will just sit in the building, and they do seem to be very, good at that. Because I don't know of any Calvinist that actually goes out and like. The only one I know is, obviously there's the one called Vocab Malone, but I'm not sure if he's a proper Calvinist though. He just says he is. But these proper Calvinists. Yeah, so anyway, the other four myths, they probably are myths, but this first one, number one, that's not a myth. So this guy, he should have put this one at the bottom actually, but putting it at the top was the worst thing he could do because then he just exposed himself. Trying to say it's a myth, but he's making it out to be a myth by conveniently missing out what Calvin asked for. But if you want to do proper research, you'll know, you can tell when these guys was making stuff up anyway. Calvin agreed Servetus deserved death, so there you have it. So that's some of these Trinitarians, the way how angry they get. Don't be surprised if the time comes. What's going to happen to you if you don't believe in the Trinity?